One of the leading causes of death in the U.S. is driving fatalities due to crashes and accidents. And this is because we have a large amount of driving in the U.S. But also, it's been increasing a lot recently due to the policies of the Biden administration and blue states that have been giving driver's licenses to illegal immigrants and ones that to illegal immigrants. Now, why does this actually result in an increase in fatalities? This is because a lot of the times illegal immigrants do not understand the laws and do not understand English. And a lot of the signs in the U.S., in fact, all of the traffic signs are all in English. So you can see that's how this is a problem. If someone doesn't understand actual English, they won't be able to understand a lot of the times the signs and the traffic signs and traffic rules in the U.S. This leads to a lot more fatalities and a lot more accidents from that group. That's simply because they don't understand English. And now Trump is actually trying to do something about it, as Colorado faces a $24 million federal funding cut over legal commercial driver's licenses. This is a great step in the right direction. And historically, it's been shown to work. Now, this is at a much smaller scale than what has historically been shown, but still, it's going to work. For example, one historical example of it is when Reagan wanted to get the drinking age down to up to 21. He did this by threatening to cut federal infrastructure spending on interstate highways in whatever state does not have a federal drinking age of 21. This led to pretty much every single state to pass a law stating that their drinking age was 21 because they did not want to lose that federal spending on infrastructure. And now Trump is doing that with the $24 million cut. And even though it hasn't gone into effect yet, it's been threatened. As the head of the U.S. Department of Transportation threatened Monday to withhold $24 million in federal funding from the state of Colorado for what he described as a slow response to a major violation of federal commercial driver's license regulations. Additionally, with the fact that now Trump's came into the presidency, he changed regulations to where, with commercial driver's licenses, you have to be an actual legal immigrant or someone or a U.S. citizen in order for you to get commercial driver's licenses. Again, this was mainly to reduce driving fatalities and driving accidents due to the issue of illegal immigrants not being as effective at driving, particularly commercial vehicles. Yet Colorado has been slow in responding to this. And they've been so incredibly slow that now they're actually threatening a cut in federal spending to Colorado. Now, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy pointed to nationwide audit conducted in October that found 22% of commercial licenses doled out by Colorado to immigrants were done so illegally. Many Mexican nationals, a practice that was prohibited under federal law. And if you notice, it's also particularly of the demographic that tends to be the group that understands English the least, and that is the Mexican nationals. That's one of the major groups that understand it the least, as they are from a country that does not speak English. They speak Spanish, where this makes it even more difficult for them to drive commercial vehicles. Additionally, it's also even worse. Besides that, it's just a driver's license. It's even worse that it's commercial driver's licenses, as commercial drivers have to be a lot safer in comparison to your normal person that's driving on the field, as they're driving a bigger truck that is harder to drive. For example, semis. Whenever you have a semi on a truck, you'll notice a semi truck trying to turn. You notice that they have to take a lot wider of a turn because it's harder to control. And that leads it to be a lot more dangerous and a lot more risky. So you have to have a great driver in the seat for a commercial driver's license, simply because you don't want, it's a lot harder to control. This makes it a lot more dangerous to have someone that's unqualified within that seat, with driving a more massive truck. Means there's going to be more likely to be accidents if you have someone unqualified. Additionally, with the larger truck, it also caused there to be a lot more fatalities just due to physics in general. Because the truck is a lot more massive and a lot more heavy, it's a lot easier for there. Means that there's a lot more force whenever there is a collision. Down to the basic law of F equals ma, one of Newton's first laws. This means that with this crash of a bigger truck, means that there's going to be more damage, more fatalities. Fatalities are going to be more likely if there's a crash from a big semi truck. So you need and for that reason, you need someone that's even better at driving. So giving illegal driver's licenses to illegal immigrants makes it a lot more unsafe for drivers on the road. Additionally, the fact that it's 22% of commercial licenses, that is a ton. That is a ton of commercial licenses, especially for a state like Colorado, where Colorado is actually close to the center of the U.S., so they have so it's like a major transportation area. Additionally, they're on the way from California to the rest of the nation. So it's an area where there will be a decent amount of shipping. So having this, having that large percentage of commercial licenses, that means that there's going to be a decent amount of those licenses are giving out to people, and that's also not just going to affect Colorado itself. It's also going to affect other states too, because commercial drivers always go outside of their state because they usually transport goods from usually the coast to the center of the nation. So, for example, in Colorado, Colorado, they would most likely do a lot of transportation from California to Colorado, or they might do a lot of transportation from other places too, from Colorado to maybe farther out in like Kansas and Nebraska. So they do a lot of transportation that's outside of state. So it doesn't just affect Colorado. Having this commercial license to these illegal immigrants affects road safety across the nation, particularly in states right next to it too. So it's not just a Colorado issue, it's an issue for the entirety of the U.S. So this is great that it's actually starting to cut these licenses and actually threatening Colorado to do so. Duffy accused Colorado of slow walking the required purge of these licenses. He said the state has failed to complete a full audit, provide a complete accounting of affected drivers, or revoke invalid credentials, despite being notified of noncompliance. Additionally, with this is actually showing Colorado actively violating the laws, or at least being negligent. So they need to be actually punished because they're actually violating actual regulations. So this means that they're violating the law, and one of the major things that happens when you violate the law is you need to be punished, or else you will continue to actually violate that law. So this is an important step for the Trump administration in doing this, and they need to do it as fast as possible. So this is going to be a great move from them. Is now they're actually holding states accountable, and they need to do it even more, not just Colorado. And they also need to do it a larger fine for this too. But they need to do it not just Colorado, as you have California, other states like California, New York, any blue state, Illinois, any blue state that actually allows the commercial driver's licenses to go to illegal immigrants needs to be punished and actually have their money removed, and not just the $24 million, because $24 million, it does seem like a lot of money, but it isn't a lot of money to a state. especially when the state's receiving a total of $800 million a year to fund infrastructure. This means that the $24 million is a small drop in the bucket. So I actually do want the Trump administration to actually threaten to remove even more money, not just the $24 million. Maybe move it up to $400 million, or maybe just remove funding in its entirety, because that will mean that there would be an even bigger incentive for states like Colorado to it would provide an even larger incentives for states like Colorado to change the regulations to actually follow the laws that are on that are on record. And that is, I think that Trump should go even more extreme and just don't do this only in Denver or Colorado. Do it in other states. Do it in other places. And also another thing, just besides federal funding, you should also add a provision into the regulations for somehow arresting people that are actively violating these regulations or incentivizing their people under them to violate these laws. Because then you'll actually have personal accountability too. Because a lot of times, even with this money though, even with removing the federal spending from states like this, a lot of the times the people in charge really don't care, because they're not actually the ones being punished. So additionally, adding a small level, not a small level, a major level of personal accountability too, makes it so the actual people in charge will actually follow the laws. So maybe add a level of personal accountability too for people that give away these commercial licenses to people or that are not active. Remove these, have a personal consequences for people that are giving these commercial licenses to illegal immigrants. Because then you'll actually have personal accountability. And that is the most basic thing that we can do to actually stop this threat to lives on the road. And I would love Trump to go more extreme on this, to actually do what I mentioned earlier. Larger fines, larger removal of funding, and do personal accountability. That is what he needs to do to make this even better. Sadly, I don't, and I really hope he does it, but this is a step in the right direction, and I hope he continues to do more stuff like this in order for, I hope he does more stuff like this, in order to protect drivers on the road from these people that do not know English, that are illegal immigrants, that are in this country illegally. And he needs to do more. And hopefully he does, and this is a step in the right direction. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.